Hello everyone, thank you for taking out your time to join us today. Just a little bit about myself first. My name is Matt Rivera. I'm a dual degree with business and musical theater. I'm in my third year here at the university. I've lived in Germany for 14 years of my life. I moved here right before I started college. My family's military. And so I actually had never been to the Buffalo region before I got here, so when I arrived I was really excited, a little overwhelmed because it's such a big city and cool, but it's been a really great adventure so far. When I first got here, I joined the Academies, Living Learning Community here on campus, and then I kind of branched off. I became an RA. I did orientation for 2 years, once as an orientation leader and the other as an orientation team leader, and then now currently I'm serving as the Director of Student Affairs within the Student Association. And apart from that, I'm a West New York Prosperity Fellow, which is a really great adventure. It's allowed me to see all different sides of, not only the school, but also the Buffalo community and the region. It's been really cool. So just to talk about our party a little bit, there's 3 kind of main points that you're going to hear throughout our speeches, and I'm going to hit on them first so that you know what they are. It's compassion, consistency, and community. Those are the 3 C's that we really want to focus on throughout our time and everything that we're looking at. We think that they're really important, and they're kind of the basis point and the mottos behind everything that we decide to do. So first off, talking about community. Advocacy for the student body. This past year especially, we have seen that the Student Association has served more as a liaison for advocacy between the student body and the university officials. And we want to kind of continue that stream going. So we want to make sure that there are more open forums and open dialogues happening, talking about some of the events that happened this past year, for instance, with the athletics fee open forum that happened, and the forum that happened when the blacks only, whites only signs were placed in Clemens Hall. We just want to make sure that the students are getting their questions answered, and that they are being heard by everyone within the student, between the university. That they don't feel like the officials are too far out of reach. Kind of to help with that, we want to make sure that the Student Association stays as a liaison, so we are creating a kind of a system of communication so that students aren't afraid to go up to that 3rd floor in the student union and come into the office and ask a question. So we can at least point them in the right direction of where to go, or help lead them on their journey towards advocacy or getting their questions answered. Most universities, we would be considered the student body government. The SA, the Student Association, does play a part in that. We are obviously the student body government, but we're also more than that. We reach out between them. We kind of mix the boundaries between the university and the student body, and we also do programming, which is also another real big hit. So we just want to make sure going into the next years that we keep those things going. Speaking of programming, another thing that we want to do is we want to improve on the current programming that we have now. This year we made strides towards UB Trippin' to get students out into the Buffalo region and seeing all the great things that the region has to offer, really participating in them. It's a really cool adventure, I think, for them. I've been on a few trips myself. I actually run the program, so it's been a cool adventure in collabing with Late Night UB, which is run through Student Life. So we want to expand on that. We also want to see if we can bring back some of the more fun events that reach out more towards the student body that doesn't exactly get involved with essays so much. There seems to be this mentality that there's a small group of people who really bank on the benefits of the Student Association. We want to make sure that that's not true, because everyone is a part of the Student Association. Every undergraduate student is a part of the organization, and we want to make sure that their voices are being heard and they're participating in everything we have to offer. So thinking about things like Party at the Point, kind of revamping that, Spirit Week, things like that, and a lot of things with our clubs, which Megan will kind of hit on. So making sure that the student body is being reached to all of the boundaries, and not just the people who continually do, who participate in the benefits of the Student Association. Lastly, we really want to create a model of an equitable organization. It's not enough to say that we are equitable as far as gender, religion, sexual orientation, all sorts of things, race, ethnicity. It's not enough to just say that you are. You need to show an example that you are, and that is really what's going to show. We're hoping that we can create this model, and whether it's in our hiring process or our programs that we offer, and show the rest of the university that we are a model of equitable standards, and this is what everyone should be doing because we truly believe in that, and I think that everybody else should as well. That's kind of the points that I wanted to hit on today, and I hope I explained a little enough for you all. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Thank you.
We'll open it up to questions now. I guess, yeah, go ahead.
So you said that you joined the academies upon first coming here.
Sure.
You were an RA, and you are now the director of student affairs, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So why do you think this experience has kind of led you to wanting to become president, and why do these things make you qualified for being SA president?
Sure, absolutely. I think that question kind of comes in layers. I have this phrase that I kind of picked up from one of my mentors, Hadar Borden, with the academies, who actually runs the Western Prosperity Fellowship program. It's called sunsetting. So it's this idea that you should, when you get an opportunity, you should sunset something beforehand to make room for the next one and keep moving forward. So when I started the university, I started on the inside as a normal student who just wanted to participate in something. Coming from Germany, I didn't even know what Buffalo looked like, didn't know what the university looked like. I just wanted to be a part of something. So I know what that felt like, to live on campus, to be a part of a group that really cared, a community. And then moving forward, being with orientation and seeing both ends of orientation as creating it and actually just being an orientation leader has helped me communicate with students. And be able to hear from all different students coming in from all different areas, what it's like, and what they're looking for out of their university experience. And then moving forward now as Director of Student Affairs, as I mentioned before, the Student Association has played a liaison role kind of between the students and Student Affairs, the Office of Student Affairs within it. We've really focused on advocacy, so being able to hear one-on-one what students have to say, listening to them. And listening is the key point. I have learned throughout my time to listen, because you just need to hear what everybody has to say. It doesn't matter what opinion you have, just listening to them. So I think growing on that, and every piece that I've hit, being not only a student, just participating in the events, helping create programs, to now, reaching towards advocacy, I think it's really pushed me towards this position as president of the Student Association.
This past semester and even this year, there's been a lot of talk about diversity on campus and students not feeling very included on this campus. So, as an SA president, you guys play such a huge role in students' experience here on campus. So how do you plan to create a more inclusive environment for students who are new to the Buffalo area or who come from different cultural backgrounds?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the points that we have with programming is really we want to reach out to the international community as well as to the students that are domestic or even local. We've realized that there's a disconnect, and the disconnect kind of starts with orientation. There's two separate orientation processes, and there's not really time for them to, intermingle and get to know each other on a different level, apart from being students within the university. So I think getting more programming out where the students can interact with each other. SA has already started that, obviously, years ago with International Fiesta and being able to show your pride and your heritage, but we want to expand on that and include the people who don't exactly participate in International Fiesta or who don't choose to. So I think that's a great grounds for it. Creating that foundation, that layer of having the two worlds kind of mesh, whatever two worlds it is, mesh together and have a conversation. Apart from that, I think hosting open forums and the open dialogues I was speaking about before will help a lot with that. In those things, it allows for people to communicate with each other without being able to express their opinion and express how they're feeling about something without placing too much pressure on other people. One of the issues, as I mentioned before, listening is one of the greatest things that we can do, and I think kind of as we move forward, we're starting to listen less because we just get so irritated by always hearing the same thing or being told what not to do or what to do. But instead, I think we should just talk. Let's talk about it. Let's figure out where the grounds are. Where do we go? So making sure that SA as an organization creates that foundation, creates that boundary And that also includes within, whether it's our hiring process, whether it's the programs that we offer, so that every student feels like they have a place at this university, and they don't feel exactly left out from it.
Brian?
I think legacy is a. I think you have a great question, but
I can repeat it.
Yeah.
How do you want to improve PPs? What are the specific things you want? How do you want to make a difference?
Sure. So I think the biggest thing is reaching the students who aren't already, active in this community that we are involved in. The Spectrum is involved in, the Student Association is involved in. I think that's what I want to do the most. It's got nothing to do with programming, really. It's got nothing to do with anything within the organizations as they are. I mean, yes, there are points that we can fix and mend and keep moving forward, but when students come into orientation the first time, they hear about SA, but what they hear is Fall Fest, Spring Fest, those sorts of things. These great events that happen, and yeah, they're awesome events, but we're more than that. The Spectrum is more than that. These organizations that the students can be a part of is more than that. The academies is more than that. The Honors College is more than that. They're more than just these places that just kind of hold some notoriety that you can put down on a piece of paper and say I was a part of this. It's more about allowing the students who aren't engaged and being able to communicate with them, at least being able to have a conversation with them and them realizing that I'm a student too, and I started the university not knowing anything, and we are all students. We want to participate. We want to do things, but getting them out there. I think that's the biggest goal that I have, is reaching the communities that are not already or have been involved within.
I kind of understood that, but
Yeah.
how do you plan on facilitating?
Sure. Okay, so part of that has to do with the way that we're going to model the student association. We are trying to be more accessible. In talking about the system of contacts, that also is encouraging students to come up to our office and communicate with us, to ask questions. We don't want the disconnect to exist. It's going to always exist. It's going to happen. I'm not naive in thinking that it won't. But I do think that we can, by implementing a system of contacts and the way that students can interact with us as an organization, whether through social media or whether it's in person on the floor. I want to be walking through the halls and have a student come up to me and ask a question that they're a little bit curious about. So getting our faces out there, making sure that people know who are part of the organization, so that we can grab them in and say, hey, be a part of it with us. We want you to be a part of it. Join us.
Are there any strengths the current SA president, Manal Khan, has that you admire and maybe want to continue, maybe even just things she does? And there are also, secondly to that, anything that she does that you would do differently, or any weaknesses that you see in how she currently does her job?
Sure. I think currently one of Manahil's biggest strengths, I'm not going to lie to you all, I love Manahil, so it's going to be hard for me to say anything bad about her. But one of the biggest strengths that she has is that she is just so ambitious. It's really, really, really so important that somebody in that position be ambitious and have willpower, but be able to listen. And she does that so well. She carries on with whatever thought that she has. She really goes forward with it, and she makes emotion towards it. But along the way, she is not afraid to hear what everyone else has to say. And that's so important because it adds to the pieces, and it puts it together for something that the entire university can benefit from, and not just a few students within the university. And I think that's her biggest strength, and I totally admire her for it. And I don't think that you can have honestly a better person in that position as it is right now. I think I wouldn't say one of her weaknesses is, I think one of the weaknesses of the organization as a whole that kind of reflects on her a lot is the fact that some of the points that we falter in, or that create some disconnect between the students, reflect on her so often. I think that's a huge weakness, and it doesn't really exactly have to do with her, but a lot of the issues that happen or the problems that occur, a lot of it comes back to Manahil, and it's hard for students to see, all the great that she's doing, and I think that's a weakness for her because she can't show them all the wonderful things that she's been able to accomplish and the wonderful things in the areas that she's going on. So, yeah.
Tori.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that compassion was one of your platforms. Could you speak a little bit more about why you've made that one of your platforms and how you're going to implement compassion?
Sure. So I'm going to say me as an individual for now, and then I'll kind of talk about the party a little bit. So myself, I have done a lot of work with not-for-profits and things like that. And actually, what I'm doing with Western New York Prosperity Fellowship is trying to create a not-for-profit theater organization. And the purpose is not just to say, I did something for the greater good, or I did something, to reach the hearts of people, because that's not what it is. It's more about being able to do something that you love and give that back to someone else. And being able to see people for who they are, being able to care for people and what they have to say is one of the strongest things any leaders can have. I think that's why we chose it as a model within the Progress Party. Just because if you don't have compassion and you're not finding any connect with people, empathy is a really strong thing, and for someone and for people to feel empathy and realize that somebody is there and with them and on their side, that is a really powerful moment. And I think when people feel that, that's when we hold on to it and we realize all the the great things that are happening or places we can go with that. I think that's why we chose compassion as one of our models.
And you talked a lot about accessibility and being open to students that want to participate or want to learn about essay. But for the rest, how are you going to make the organization itself more transparent in all of its actions and how it spends its money or makes decisions? How are you going to make those types of things more accessible?
Okay, sure. So I think my cohorts would speak a little bit more on that. I don't want to steal their thunder, but I will talk about it a little bit. There are things that in every organization that can't be shared with people. I think that people push these boundaries though a little bit just to hold back some of the information that they have because information is power. And I don't want to do that. So what are some of the things that we can do to help that is keeping the conversation open, making sure that when, whether it be media outlets or when we have these conversations with people, that we're telling them as much as we can and letting them know that we're not telling them the rest. It's not because we're not telling them the rest because we are holding the information just because we want to. It's because we can't go that far. I think a lot of the issues that happen as far as transparency is involved and letting people know what's happening within the organization is because people don't share. They're not sharing things. They're not telling things. They're holding things back on purpose. And they also don't tell people that why they're holding back some information. A lot of people just want to know why. I would want to know why. I mean, why aren't you telling me it? That's all. If you say that, you can figure out the rest later on. Then when the information comes out, then they're happy that you at least express to them why. Don't just shut them off and close the door on them, because that doesn't help anything. It doesn't answer any questions. It irritates people. It doesn't make people happy, and I think it destroys the community that you're trying to create.
Just jumping off there real quick, just
Yeah.
where do you see the role between the spectrum and essay?
In the future, I mean, I'm going to take it back a little bit to the past, actually. In the past, we've seen a lot of, as people would put it, scandals happen, or things that occur that the spectrum will release or say when they occur. And I actually don't think that that's wrong in any way. As I mentioned before with Manahil and one of her weaknesses, it just thinks that a lot of things that occur kind of reflect back on her. I think that it's right that if things occur and the news needs to be shared with the general population, share it. That's the whole point of communication, and we're being upfront with each other, and we are telling each other and sharing with each other, and letting us know everything within the organization. And no one is feeling like we're creeping around or trying to hide things. Then I think that there can be a really great connection between the Spectrum and SA. I think as two separate organizations, there's so much that they can benefit from helping each other and collaborating, and also so much that the student population can benefit from. Let's get more people reading the Spectrum. Let's get more people excited about information. Maybe when we release Fall Fest, Spring Fest lineups, those sorts of things, we can send them directly to you all, and that would be the first point that you all get. I know this past time that was the first point, but that's okay. I mean, it was up there anyway, so you took the information and you shared it. I wouldn't blame anybody for doing that. That's what it's there for. So, yeah, I just think that there can be a stronger bond between the two. There's a lot of disconnect right now, and it feels like sometimes, not always, but sometimes it can feel like creeping around and trying to hide or hide things from each other. But yeah, I don't think it should be like that at all. I think this should be an information source for people.
I have time for one more question. Okay. Alright, we'll wrap it up then. Well,
I was just gonna say, yeah.
What?
Just tell me when it is.
Okay.
In the interest of time.
Alright, thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.